Hi, everyone. Hi. I just wanted to introduce Vince and Evelyn from Beneplan. They're the brokers of our plan. So I'm going to turn over the floor to Vince first, and then I think Evelyn's going to add some added information, and then in the end we're going to open it up to a Q&A. Okay?
Do I have to stand over there? I feel like Jimmy Fallon. Is there an X on the ground? Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Vince Principato. I'm the president of Beneplan. And I'm a consultant, and I do all other kinds of stuff with benefit plans. Eveline is one of my colleagues. She handles all sorts of other parts of the plan, and she'll get into a little bit later. I want to tell you a little bit about Beneplan. We've been in business somewhere around 26 years, 27 years. I've been there so long I don't remember. And we specialize in benefits, period. I don't do house, car, RSPs. I don't do any of that stuff. I do benefits. We specialize in benefits. And we are actually specialists. That's what it's all about. We stumbled across your group 2 months ago, maybe. So I want to first of all say that we've only been involved with Evanov for, it's maybe 6 weeks, I think, from when we started to where we are today. We have nothing to do with what's happened prior to that. I know a lot of you are probably upset about these premiums and what the hell happened, and we'll talk about that. I'll explain some of that. But let me assure you, it's not us. And it's not this poor lady here. We've been going very hard for and Saskia going crazy to try and get this back on track. Your plan, as it was, had many issues. Without getting into too many details, the one thing you must understand about benefit plans, here, there, and everywhere, they work on a very simple principle. Your price is directly linked to what your people spend. If you spend, as a group, $100,000 on dental, the insurance company needs to charge you $100,000 plus some kind of overhead, administration, fee, and so on. It's that simple. Okay? Now, here's the bad part, and this is what I think might have happened in your case. I can't be sure, because I only see numbers, and I have to sort of read in between the lines. Insurance companies are notorious for trying to win business these days. And how do they do that? They play with the numbers. So let me give you an example, and I want you guys to participate. Because again, it's important that you understand this. Let's say that you guys as a group, 3 years ago, spent $100,000 on dental claims. And let's say 2 years ago, you spent $110,000 in dental claims. And last year, you spent $115,000 in dental claims. If we assume that the administration or the profit or the overhead is, let's make it simple, let's make it 20%. And now it's renewal time. So those are the 3 years. You know what the fee structure is. Who would give me a price going forward? Anybody. What would you give me as a price? Rob.
I'm a writer.
Who's a numbers person? Somebody, finance, anybody.
530 over 3 is what? 175-ish? So about 200K with overhead?
So I said 20% overhead, so we had 100, 110, 115. Let's take an average, make that 105. Add 20% on top is about 20 some odd thousand, so about 125, 130 grand. Would you agree with that? If I gave you a quote for $90,000, and you're in charge of making this decision, or what would you think of that quote? Is it a legitimate quote? Somebody's playing games. This is what I suspect happened. I know you guys are upset about this 40% increase roughly of your premiums. Let me tell you officially, had you stayed where you were with the previous carrier, the increase that you'd be looking at today is 100%.
Plus, their initial quote started at 160%. The last one was 120%.
Okay? So, I feel your pain. I was actually quite upset when I saw that because I hate those games. I don't play those games because in the end it affects you. And who wants to get more money out of your pocket? It's tough enough. But unfortunately, that's what it is. Okay? Now, what can you do to help? This is important. Understand something. There are many entities and professions that are looking to get your money. When I say your money, I mean the money that you contribute to the plan as well as the employer, what they contribute to the plan. Many. Can anybody give me one example of a company or an entity or a profession that's looking to get your money?
Massage therapist.
There's a good one. That's a very good one. Somebody else? I'm saying? Optometrist? Excellent. One more. Real, like right there. You see them all the time.
Yeah.
Dentists. Do you know that the dental fee guide, which is the schedule, the pricing for every single service in Canada or in Ontario, it goes by province, it's actually, there's a fee. So code number 11375 is a cleaning code. That's $110. And that's what they charge. Sometimes they actually charge more. Of course, we cut them back. See, my job and Eveline's job and the insurance is to try and keep these guys under control. And some companies do a better job. Some companies not such a good job. We're very good at it. We're tough. So here's the point. How can you help? You gotta shop smart. Now, you can't do much on a dentist. You know, the guy says, the dentist says, I need to fill in a cavity. Okay, fine. But here's the thing. And I'll give you my own personal experience. I was lucky enough to be born with decent teeth. Never had any issues. You know, the odd cavity, but I go for my 2 cleanings a year, I'm done. So years ago, the dentist says to me, okay, Vince, it's 3 years ago that we haven't done an x-ray and a panoramic, and they give you all this stuff. And I said, okay, because I know the game they're playing. I'm in the business. I don't expect you to know, but I'm trying to enlighten you a little bit. Says, okay, we need to do a full set of mouth x-rays and so on and so on and so on and so on. I said, well, wait a second. Is there anything wrong with my teeth? He says, no, but it's in your book. I said, I don't care it's in my book. Is there anything wrong? No. I said, then we're not doing that. Do my cleaning, let me get out of here. Following year, same thing. Following year. This went on for about 5 years. Again, I'm lucky. I have decent teeth and I brush and I floss and so on. On that 5th year, he says, okay, Vince, I appreciate the fact that you're trying to save your company money. I get that. But I really need to do it. It's been a while. I said, fine. I want you to now to do a predetermination. Predetermination is a fancy word for an estimate. Tell me what you want to do. Send it to my insurance company. Have them say, yeah, we'll cover for this, 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 and this. And then you can proceed. The bill at that point would have been somewhere around $800-900. In the end, they settled it was $750. It was good. Okay, go. That's one thing you can do. Challenge your dentist. If you know you have good teeth, right? Don't let them do all that stuff, because in the end, go back to what I said earlier, your pricing is directly linked to what you spend on your plan. One other quick one, and then we'll get into more of the detail stuff. Years ago, again, and I use personal examples. These are my personal examples. Ate something, didn't agree with me, broke out into hives. That happens. So I go home, take the Benadryl, a couple hours. Benadryl wears off, the hives come back. So this was going on and off for a couple of days. I'm like, this is a little weird. So I go to the walk-in clinic. He checks me out. He says, yep, definitely an allergic reaction. What's the first question the doctor asks you?
Do you have any allergies, or do you have insurance?
That's the first one. Do you have an insurance plan? Of course, I'll say, sure. Why do you think so? So now, of course, they're going to prescribe the expensive stuff. So he goes ahead, and I said, yeah. He says, okay, starts writing, I think it was Claritin or Reactin or one of those ones. I said, wait a second, isn't this an over-the-counter? He says, no, the 20 milligrams strength is over-the-counter. The prescription one is 40 milligrams. I said, let me ask you, how long am I going to be on this? A couple of days. Now, if I take 2 of the 20 milligrams, is it the same as the 40? He says, it's exactly the same. I said, okay, thank you. And I walked out the door. So instead of having the plan pay for a $60 prescription, I bought out of my pocket, it was $10, $12, whatever it was many years ago. So these are the little things that you can do in order to try and keep these costs down. Challenge yourself, because again, you go to the massage therapy and all these guys, and we're going to talk about that. We've changed that. You still have the benefit, but there's a few things to sort of keep an eye on those costs, because that's a major one. Okay? So anyway, to sort of conclude my portion of the presentation, we are working very hard with Evanov to really clean up this entire program and to get it on a sustainable financial situation, all right? I know that the 40% is bad. I understand that. But do your part. Try and do your part. Even if you just think about it a second, do I really need to do that? I'm never going to say to you, if you need this drug, don't take it. Absolutely not. You need something, you go get it. Instantly. But if there's something that's kind of questionable, think about it. Look at it. Look for an alternative. Look for something that's less expensive. Any questions on what I've talked about? No? Nothing?
What if that is what you do? Like, I know I don't go around just getting things because I know it benefits. I will use it when I really, really need it.
Yes.
So,
So how do people scam the system?
yeah.
All right, let me give you an example. It's Friday afternoon. It's a beautiful day outside. Tough day at work. Say, you know what? You happen to be looking at your benefit plan. Hey, I've got massage therapy in here. Hey, is there a massage therapy place up on the corner? You know, I'm going to go. You go, you get a massage. You don't medically need one. And they charge you your $50, $60, whatever it is. That goes, again, costs that go against your premiums. Now, if you need a massage, absolutely you go for it. But a lot of people, as soon as they do that first one, now you've got this guy, well, let me see your book. And, hey, you've got massage, you've got acupuncture, you've got naturopathy, you've got all of these different things. Come once a week. So you go once a week. You don't need it, but it's a maintenance thing. It's good. And again, I'm not saying that it's a bad thing, but remember, the more that you guys spend on your program, the more it's going to cost. We're hoping that we're at an equilibrium at this stage. What you guys are paying plus what Evanov's paying should be enough to cover the claims and the fees, and we don't have this problem anymore. That's what we're trying to do. Okay? But in answer to your question, once a company like that, because if you notice, you go to these clinics, they've got all of those services, right? Every single one. They'll start you off on the massage. They'll max out your $500. Say, don't worry, keep coming. We'll just call it chiropractic. They're still doing massage. But it's chiropractic is what they put on the paper. And of course, that's fraud. So you know. There are companies out there where they have a little room, a little store like this, divided in half. This is the show front, and they've got compression hose and orthopedic shoes and orthotics and all that stuff. But then there's a door behind where they've got high heel pumps and they've got Gucci bags and they got all this kind of. If you Google it on the internet, you know, healthcare fraud, you will be amazed what you find out there. It's incredible. The city of Toronto, a couple of years ago, if you were listening, had a major problem with this stuff with Manulife. We're talking hundreds of thousands of dollars that were claims that were abusive, that were fraudulent. People got fired and all that kind of stuff. It happens all the time. That's how they do it. You know, you go to the dentist and they say, well, I only need 2 units of scaling. A unit of scaling, that's when they get the thing and they scrape your teeth. I hate that. Ugh. But you know, you got to do it. You're probably good for 2 units every 6 months. What do the dentists do? 3 units, 4 units. Oh, you've got 12. Come back again in another 3 months and we'll do another bunch. You probably don't need it. But that's how they do it. So you need to educate yourselves a little bit. And you got to kind of just be on the alert for some of these. Now, they're not all bad. Don't get me wrong. I mean, a lot of these people do, obviously, a very, very good job, you know. But be aware. Dispensing fees is another one. Anybody know that Costco has a pharmacy?
Yes.
You knew or you didn't know? All right. Here's a question. Do you know if you need to be a member to use the pharmacy or not? So you know the answer. All right. You do not need to be a member of Costco to use their pharmacy. Do you know what their dispensing fee is? Okay, you don't take drugs. That's good. Say no to drugs. The dispensing fee, I think last time I checked, was $3.99. Now, when you compare $3.99 dispensing fee compared to a $12.99 dispensing fee at Shoppers, not to pick on Shoppers, but they are the biggest, there's a big difference. So $3.99, $12.99, that's a $9 difference. Did I do the math right? $9. So now, let's say that we all take one prescription, say 3 prescriptions a year. How many people are here? We got what? 30 people? 30 people times 9, that's already $270.
Right, very good.
Let's do that 3 times a year. We're almost at $1,000. Just like that. Just like that. So these are the things that you can do to help. Okay? Obviously, anything changes in your life, from single to married, married to single, babies being born, address changes, please let us know. That will be done through your administration people here. And that's about it.
Vince, there is a $5 prescription fee on the plan too, so even better reason to make sure you're going to someplace that doesn't charge
Is
you.
it drug cap?
Yeah,
Yeah, so-
$5 for prescription fee.
Right. So that's the maximum that will reimburse you. So look for those cheaper pharmacies. Any questions on what I've talked about?
So how often will the premiums change
It's always once a year
on renewal?
on renewal, correct.
Okay.
Anybody else?
So it's all dependent on what
Yeah,
everyone.
everybody
is
collectively.
doing.
Right.
Stop getting sick.
No, and again, I don't want to mislead you guys. You need something, you get it, absolutely. We don't want sick people. We don't want people being hurt. You get it. But be smart about things. Because remember, there's people trying to take that money out of your pocket. Let's try and keep it in your pocket, and everybody's pocket in here. Yes?
What about when you travel? I would imagine that travel, so the travel.
Travel is included,
Is
yes.
included, so, I mean, everybody who goes on vacation, are there ways to kind of,
Be careful. Like, one of the things that you must do, God forbid anything happens abroad. That, by the way, means out of province. Don't think that just because you go to Quebec or you go to Manitoba, it's still considered in the insurance company's eyes as out of the province or out of country. All right? You'll have a card. Did everybody receive their travel card?
Yeah.
On that card, there's a 1-800 number. Call that number before you do anything. Obviously, if you're in a real serious situation, they will call on your behalf. But call that number. The insurance companies will then start talking to. I had a situation just recently where they didn't call. And it was a very routine kind of situation. They went in, I think they weren't feeling well, they ended up getting an x-ray. This is in the States somewhere. Anybody want to hazard a guess what the bill was that they sent to the insurance company?
$6,000.
6?
Six.
6. Let's try another number.
10.
10. Give me another number.
Keep going up.
18.
Another number.
What happened? What, yeah, 36.
Walk-in clinic, a visit, and an x-ray.
$15,000.
Sold. No. $40,000. $38,000. Yeah.
Wow.
Why? Why? Because the employee didn't call that 1-800 number, and as soon as that clinic said, Canadian? Oh, no problem. Go. Now, we're fighting it. I think we're going to be able to bring it down to maybe 25. All right? But that's what happens. So, you're covered, yes, but make sure you use that. Now, if you just got to go buy a prescription, buy the prescription and we'll worry about it. But anything that has to do with out of province, out of country really, but just to be sure is out of province, follow that procedure.
I'd like
And
to
you
just touch on that. You should never ever leave with a bill. Anything over about, insurance companies get nervous around $1,000. So if you're going to a walk-in clinic and you're just picking up a script for antibiotics and you get a couple $100 charged, that's not a big deal, you'll be covered. But anything over, you really should never ever leave. Make sure that you call that 1-800 number. Even if it was, an emergency where you couldn't talk, you just will not leave with the bill. As long as you've made connection at that point, it doesn't matter what the bill is, it's not your responsibility anymore. The problem is, like Vince says, when you leave and you haven't actually opened a file. The other problem in that case is also if there is a $40,000 bill, and cooperatives will pay what's called, and other insurers do the same thing, what's reasonable and customary. So if they come back and they say, no, what was reasonable for that charge was $25,000, you will be on the hook for the remainder.
So it's
You never
important.
want that to happen.
And that goes any insurance company, by the way. Yes.
okay, so let's say, Sheila goes to the
I'm assuming you're Sheila?
Sheila is the one at the end, so
Oh,
Sheila
you're
goes
Sheila?
to the Alps,
The writer
and she breaks her leg, God forbid, doesn't happen.
in the States, yeah.
The Alps, so let's say.
Oh, Switzerland.
Yeah, in Switzerland, or Colorado.
Yes.
And the bill is 50 grand.
Yes.
Okay, so that screws up the cooperative for everybody else?
No, that's a very good question. Claims of catastrophic nature, such as what you've just described, that doesn't impact your plan. Because, see, the way it works, what insurance companies are looking for is what we call probability or credibility or likely to reoccur next year. God forbid, Sheila, I mean, they're picking on you. You go to Colorado and you broke your leg, skiing, and it's a $50,000 bill. What are the chances of that happening again next year? Well, slim to none. I mean, unless you're a really bad skier. Right? So that doesn't impact your plan. You don't have to worry about that. However, if, for example, you spent $50,000, $500 in drugs this year, that's probably going to happen again next year. So that's the difference. It's the likelihood of reoccurring. That's what the insurance companies base their numbers. We know from time to time you will have a catastrophic situation. There are provisions built in and contingencies built into the programs, reinsurance and so on, that look after that. So don't worry about that stuff. Yes, this here.
So, presumably then if someone developed an ongoing condition that's pricey, something, for example, arthritis is a pricey.
Yep, Remicade, Enbrel, Humira, yes.
So that will affect everyone's premiums.
It will. Now, in your...
The question isn't about that.
Okay.
Assuming that's the case.
Yes?
The question is about anonymity because that can affect someone's job.
Right. Everything is absolutely confidential. I won't know. Nobody here will know. When we get what we call a claims experience report, we will basically get a report that says from January 1st to December 31st of 2015, the Evanov Radio Group paid $100,000 towards their dental premiums, and there was $80,000 in dental claims. That's it. We don't know how much you spent or whatever. That's absolutely illegal these days. You could do that in the old days, but not anymore.
I mean, I know it's illegal, I just also know it's something that happens sometimes, so.
No, we can't
No.
do that. We can't. And that was in your package, you had that one flyer about the computer privacy policy, it speaks to that. Yeah, we can't even we can't access it even if we wanted to.
So if you've got somebody that doesn't go to the dentist,
Yes.
doesn't use the dental,
Yes.
doesn't use the medical,
Yes.
his premiums are still going to go up no matter what.
Yeah, because it's collective, yes. But here's the point. There's, in any given group, you're going to have somewhere around 5% of the total people that use the plan. In other words, they pay their $200 a month, but they're spending $400 a month between their drugs and everything else. You're going to have at the other end of the spectrum somewhere between 5 to 8% that are in that boat where they pay the same premiums and use nothing, and then everybody else somewhere in the middle. The point of a group plan is that you're all in it together, okay? And yeah, sometimes there's situations where you don't use it, but trust me when I say this, do not tempt fate, because that can change overnight. All of a sudden, God forbid you hear one of these sicknesses, or you have a disease, or, these things do happen. And by the way, if you have natural teeth, you should be going to the dentist at least twice a year. You should do that.
But over 65, doesn't make any difference. You got no coverages except for medical and dental.
At age 65, between 65 and 70, that is 70, 75. You have coverages for those.
Yeah, for medical and dental.
Right.
They're not used because you're covered by the government.
Well, the government picks up the drugs, doesn't pick up dental.
And if you don't use dental, I've been to the dentist in 5 years and I got perfect teeth.
So you're like me. Okay?
I don't have to worry about it. He throws me out every time I walk in. He says, "You don't need to be clean."
Well, then go for a massage. What can I say?
I got enough of that at home.
I think we should stop right there. Listen, I understand what you're saying. The government, in terms of the drugs, do cover a big chunk of the drugs. But like I said, they don't cover all. There are always a few little things they don't cover. So you got to be aware of that sort of thing. And like I said, I had an argument with one of my clients on the same thing. And 4, 5, 6 years in a row, hardly anything. And then all of a sudden, that 1 year, something happened. And now all of a sudden, he needed that plan. So if you think that you're a 4-seer or whatever, then play the lotto. It'll be better that way. You really can't look at it the other way. And I'm sure that if you really, when the chips are done, all of a sudden, geez, I didn't know I was covered for that. I could really use that. Sleep apnea machine. It goes on and on and on and on. Read the booklets. When you get them, read the booklet. Questions? Yes? No? Anybody?
Actually, one other question.
One other question.
Long-term disability.
Yes,
Whatever the cap is, whatever the amount that.
yes.
Okay, because I know everyone's.
Right, it's a percentage of your income to a maximum amount per month.
Is that, tax-free?
It is non-taxable, meaning,
So it's tax-free, okay.
Yes.
Non-taxable, okay.
right, so what happens, God forbid, let's say you're entitled to receive, based on that formula, $2,500 a month, should you not be able to work and after 4 months that you're off and so on, you will receive that $2,500, no tax taken off. That's part of, the premiums that you're paying.
And what would long-term disability look include? I always wondered, so I mean, since you're here, I'm gonna ask.
Well, ask, absolutely. Basically, if sickness or injury, or illness, disease, any of that stuff. But you gotta be off for 119 days, 120 days.
Yeah, which is 4 months, so you go on EI first.
Right.
And use the short-term disability there, and that runs right into your long-term.
Okay, so it's all based on your doctor's prescription to be on.
Well, what they'll do is,
Whether it's not cancer,
Yeah.
like a friend of mine had.
You have to be
breast
permanently
cancer, so.
disabled.
Right, you have to be straight.
You're perfectly disabled, not perfectly, you have to be totally disabled is the definition, totally disabled, in other words, you cannot do your job.
right,
You cannot do your job.
right. And so what'll happen is you'll fill in a form, the employer will fill in a form, and your doctor will fill in a form. The insurance company has every right to call any of those people and say, I need clarification on this, or I need an extra report, or what have you. Generally, when it's a legitimate situation, they pay. They pay.
Because I've heard stories where they don't pay, where someone actually really needs the long-term disability coverage, and, I can't even remember what the cause was, but I've just heard, and actually there was a story on it, I think on W5, where
There's,
insurance companies are not paying long-term disability, like you literally have to be dead, which kind of defeats the whole purpose.
Right,
Not
right.
dead, but I mean,
Right.
on your.
it goes back to that whole scamming, abusing that I was talking about earlier. I'll give you does anybody know what plantar fasciitis is?
Yep.
You know what it is? Okay. It's basically an inflammation. Everybody has from the ball of their foot to the back of their heel. It's like a tendon.
Very painful.
It is painful. It is painful.
Yeah.
And so I stumbled across a group very similar to yours, whereby they had, at that time, 18 people on disability. Unheard of. I've been in the business almost 27 years. Never seen that. You get 1, 2, 3, but they clear up and away you go. I had in that company 18 disabilities. One of them was disabled because of plantar fasciitis, which again is an inflammation of that tendon underneath your foot. It's amazing.
Because you can't walk.
You can't walk.
When they clear
Do you know how to fix it?
Don't walk.
What's that?
Don't walk.
Don't walk, yeah. An orthotic. And I had it. Again, I had it, so I know about it. I was limping, it was painful, but I was limping, I was getting around. And so one of my clients, she's a runner, so she knew about this sort of thing. She says, Vince, go get a damn orthotic. In 2 days, you'll be fine. I said, come on, do it. I went, got the orthotics, and within the week, so 3-4 days, I couldn't take them off. I had to wear them. No bare feet. Gone.
Huh.
And this person was collecting disability
Yeah.
premium payments. So, if it's something legitimate and everything's been done right, you have nothing to worry about. And if you have a problem, you call me. And I'll go talk to the insurance company and say, hey, Sheila's okay, or whatever your name is. We'll get it straight. Any other questions? No, because now we're going to get into the nitty-gritty stuff of the plan changes that occurred. Eveline's going to handle that part of it. Yes? Okay, thank you.
I just want to touch on that plantar fasciitis. Because, by the way, I also am the director of wellness here, and I'll talk about the wellness program as well. Plantar fasciitis is actually something I see tons of claims for, and Vince is right, usually people get orthotics for it. It doesn't work for everybody, and a water bottle of ice is actually what works. All you're trying to do is get the inflammation down. So we were talking about that you have a plan, but you have to be mindful of looking after yourself as well, not necessarily utilizing everything because you walk into a clinic and this is a sort of an area of abuse as well. Oh, I should fix. Sorry about that. Thank you. And, oh yeah, I like this angle better anyways. And you can actually self-treat. I teach people all the time how to self-treat themselves, and not just because of the plan, to actually look after your own health. One thing I often say is, your doctor, and you know it yourself, when you go in and something's happening to you, he'll write a script right away. It's always the first thing they do. Just because your doctor writes a script doesn't mean you should take the medication. Sometimes, of course, it's warranted and we need to have it and you have a plan for that. Oftentimes it comes with side effects that are unnecessary, that's something you can clear up yourself. As a nutritionist, I deal with all this stuff in a natural way as well, and that's free on your plan, by the way, and we'll talk about that a little bit more. Let's talk to the plan first. You might have noticed, because in your package, you have, there's a bit of a separation. So the paramedical portion of your plan actually gets administered and handled by Beneplan, okay? That's where we're from. And by the way, sorry, I should say my name again, it's Evelyn Miskopoulos, and I'm gonna leave my cards as well, so that you have contact to call me at any time for clarification, anything. So here's the forms as well. I want to pass it around just so people can see it. So if everybody can take one, I think I have enough. If not, you can share it. But that's something you can download on beneplan.ca. And that's speaking to just the paramedical portion of your plan. And does everybody know what that is? That's like the massage, the acupuncture, naturopath, the orthopedic shoes, orthotics, compression hose. By the way, that's another area of a lot of fraud and orthotics. So generally, you see orthotic prices coming in at around, should be coming in at around $300. I see them as high as $1,500. They're all made exactly the same, okay? So it should not be that way. So there's another area of abuse where you should get educated about, just because they say that your orthotics, and they'll give you a nice detail, a reason why, print out this lovely sheet that's standard for everybody about what it's made, how it's made, and you think, my God, there's a lot of work that goes into this. It's just a simple press every time, just configured to what your mold is. So it's really not complex at all. You shouldn't have to pay that much money. Your plan covers X amount, that means the rest comes out of your pocket. Why would you want anything more out of your pocket, okay? If they're not negotiating, giving you the price that you need, go elsewhere. There's lots of places that do it legitimately and won't charge you. So there's another way to be mindful not only of the plan, but of your own money, so you're not overpaying. So the paramedical portion, so now you say you have to go and see, say you need physiotherapy. Well, that portion, you have to now first get this form, the paramedical pre-approval form, completed. And you'll notice on there, there's the portion that you have to complete as the plan holder. And so even if you're doing it for a dependent, you have to sign it because you are the plan holder. So you're the one that's basically authorizing and saying, yes, please look at this. It's my plan. I authorize my dependent to go on it. Then if the dependent fill out that little part that it's a dependent claim. And then you'll see on the reverse there is the doctor has to fill out a portion. And so, yes, you have to see your doctor as well. And the doctor has to say, John has chronic neck inflammation and maybe degenerative disc disease, etc., requires physiotherapy. So that's what we mean by the plan has to be for medical reasons, okay? Massage is a perfect example. Everybody wants a massage. I want it, I love it, there's no doubt about it, but your plan is meant to be utilized for medical reasons only. And so we're just ensuring that if you need it medically, you're going to get it, but if you don't, you're not going to get it. And that's the reason that we ask you to, go to the doctor.
So I don't walk around with this form,
Mhm.
and I'm at my doctor's office, which
Yep.
usually takes about 3 months to see her.
Yeah, you got one of those,
And she
yeah.
says you need physiotherapy.
Yeah.
Can she write me a letter with her signature and date on it? Will
Well,
that be valid?
Sometimes that doesn't work, and I'll tell you why. We ask specific questions on there, and there's a reason why we ask it, and what we're evaluating to say yes or no to you.
Right.
If she's not writing a full script, and they often do not, it may not be good enough, and then you would be sent back to say that's not enough medical on there. So, but sometimes I can use it. We're not trying to create any hardships for anybody, so if a script did come in, and you filled out your portion of it, and it came in, it might be sufficient for our purposes, and we'd say, okay, we can do that. But we may have to say, no, you see, I need this extra information. That's the reason we have these questions on here. So you want to start training yourself to say, I need to go see the doctor, let's take the form with me.
Right.
Yeah.
So prior to being able to receive any treatment, this needs to be approved.
Exactly, yeah. So, because it has to be medically necessary. Now, again, we don't want to stop you. If you know it's medically necessary and it's in a hurry, I'll give you a perfect example. Some people suffer from back spasms. Well, they're barely moving out of bed, right? So, well, hopefully they're going to make it to the doctor anyways to get evaluated what that is. However, if you wanted to get off to the massage therapist first or see the chiropractor first, a lot of people are attached to their chiropractor, by the way, who have these kind of conditions. I understand that. And we're not going to say, oh, you didn't go here first, you're out of luck. But soon after, you've got to get that form completed and get it in and say, this is what happened, just so we have an understanding what actually happened. So yes, we want to keep you working and we want to keep you well. But we want to make sure the plan is utilized for medical reasons only. So again, your premiums don't get increased. That's all we're looking at, but we want to make sure you're still being looked after. So does everybody understand the paramedical portion? And again, you just get that part on beneplan.ca. Now the other part of your plan, everything else, so drugs, dental, and any services, supplies, that sort of thing, is covered through and paid back from cooperators, okay? So all your other claims will go to cooperators, and it's on your card, but I'll just talk to you. So that's, you've got our number as well, and I'm going to give you my card as well. But all your claims go to cooperators, and you can find cooperators, the forms, on cooperators.ca. Okay? We also have these forms on beneplan.ca, so we make it easy for you as well. So everything else, just keep in mind, paramedical portion goes to Beneplan, everything else goes to cooperators. Now, drug and dental are always done electronically anyways, right? So you really shouldn't be shelling out for that. You should have your dentist send it electronically, and as well the drugs, your pharmacist sends it electronically. Right away they get a message saying yes or no. By the way, if anybody has gone, and especially when a plan first comes on board, sometimes there's a little bit of glitches with, you'll be standing there at the pharmacist and they'll say, no, you're not covered. That's usually the pharmacist putting the information in incorrectly to link to cooperators. We see this time and time again. It's not that you're not covered. We have all of you uploaded, so that's not the issue. So what I would recommend at that point is tell your pharmacist, because they usually just say decline, hey, give me the money and you go and get it else, or you can get it refunded by yourself. Don't do that. Just say to them, no, please phone cooperators. The number is right on the card you gave them. You call, you connect, you get it done right now while I'm waiting. As soon as you get it done that first time, you have no issues moving forward. Why should you be hassled further? Let them do the work while you're there. And then you're on board and everything afterwards flows through very nicely. All right, so does everybody understand where the claims are going? If by chance a claim does get denied, again, that's the cooperator's number, right? So you want to call them up and find out what's going on. But as Vince was talking about, even with the dental, where they do a predetermination, if you are going to buy, especially you need to supply, say a TENS machine. Does anybody know what the TENS machine is?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's where you could have electrical impulse on you for different muscle spasms, that sort of thing. Or an apnea machine, that, CPAP they're called.
You don't have to be sick to use it then.
You don't? No, absolutely. In fact, most of them were done by people who are very physically fit and have a lot of muscular problems. You actually want to make sure that you make contact with cooperators first and get that predetermined as well. Because people will go out and buy expensive things like, for instance, a wheelchair. Because the booklet does say you have coverage for a wheelchair. However, there's very different definitions of what the coverage is for a wheelchair. You have to know the specs, etc. So make sure that you get a predetermination done as well on that before you're actually going to shell it out, because you don't want any surprises to find out how much is going to come out of your pocket. This way you know exactly where to go, what to do, and what's covered. Okay? So you've got a drug cap on your plan. It's $5,000. So anything over and above $5,000, we hope actually you're not there, because that means you're probably not too well. But unfortunately it happens for some people, right? So if you exceed that cap amount of $5,000, that does not mean you're not going to get the drugs and that you're out of luck, or that it's coming out of your pocket. We have another program. So Ontario government has a program called the Ontario Trillium Drug Plan. We'll help you with that. Should you be in that unfortunate situation that you require more than $5,000 annually, that's an annual, right? We will actually help you to set you up on this program through Trillium, and we'll guide you through it. It's a bit of a lengthy process, and that's why we'll help here. But just know that there is a program out there that will help to pay for the remainder of it, and there's a formula that goes along with it.
So do you
Sure.
mind covering if there's anything like that for other provinces?
There is, but each province has something different. So if that's the case, we have to find out which province it is, and everyone has another plan, because basically they set up their own plans. It won't be called Trillium, but there'll be something else within the province.
We have various stations.
I know.
Provide assistance with that as well.
Absolutely, yeah. So we'll find out exactly what you need there. Quebec has something different, BC has something different. Yeah, they all have something different, but there are different avenues, not a Trillium plan, but a plan that we can access as well, and we help you out with. So yeah, that's a great question. All right, so the other thing about when you're doing a claim to cooperators, if you can do it now, you can do it manually, you know, the old style where you just download the form and you submit it and mail it. You can do it that way, but most people don't want to do it anymore. You can call cooperators up the first time and you ask for what's called Benefits Now. So tell them you want to enroll into the Benefits Now, then you can do everything electronically. So what they do is they give you a temporary password, you log on now, and you can do everything, just send everything electronically. The nice thing is it's also a direct deposit, so your money gets, the claim goes through very quickly. Usually it's a 3 to 5 day turnaround time, and it goes directly into your bank account. When you do it manually, which it's fine too if you want to do that, but you're looking at about 3 weeks that way. So there's a big change there. But you have to make that call the very first time. And by the way, that's the way you can manage all your history in that, because now you have everything there. And again, by privacy, nobody else can see that. You've got the password unless you're sharing, then that's it. But otherwise, that's all private as well. Let's speak to the drug plan itself. So we've got a $5,000 cap out. I wanted to point out that it's mandatory generic drugs only, okay? So the generic drugs really work for most people. It's very rare that they don't work for other people. So just know that when you're going to the pharmacist, he will give you the generic drug, okay? So even though your doctor may have written out a brand name, he's going to default to a generic drug. Otherwise, you're going to have to pay out of your pocket, and that's not what you want to do. Let's see, did I cover everything off? I think Vince spoke to this already, but just in case, any changes that happen on the plan, to yourself personally, marriage status, you had a baby, etc., you change, you move, you've got to let Saskia know. You've got her, Shelley, know. If they don't know, that means they can't communicate to us. And if we don't know and you're making a claim moving forward, it's going to be all messed up. So we don't want that to happen. So we've got to make sure that we always have your current status in any way. That makes a big difference to your claims. And in fact, in the case of an LTD claim, it can actually mess up that claim if we don't have the most current information. And sometimes cleaning up, or a life claim, even worse. I've seen, because we handle life claims as well, and I've seen real problems in life claims, and you really don't want to leave your beneficiary with problems at that point in time. So just make sure you're on top of all your information. And I have seen as well, by the way, beneficiaries, very important. If, for instance, you get divorced, I suspect you don't want your ex to be the beneficiary. Please change it. I've had that happen, and they've come to me and said, no, you've got to change it. I meant it to be my son. I said, I'm sorry, I can't. It is not part of the will. The will says this is not part of the will. Okay, it doesn't go through probate. It goes directly to whoever you appointed on the form. So it's really, really important that you make sure that's the person you want it to be left to. Okay. All right, I think out of country. We should touch a little bit more on out of country, just because it can be serious. Vince was telling you the claims can go up really high, really quickly. The States is notorious for that. Their bills are, outrageous. We had someone not too long ago who was in for 2.5 days, and that was $60,000. And all they got was Tylenol and 1 pain shot and an MRI. Okay, so goes very, very quickly, very easily. The good news is, as I said, I just want to reiterate, don't pay the bill. Obviously, you're not paying the $60,000 bill, but do not leave with a bill either, and just assume I have out of country. By the way, do you know how many days you've got coverage for? It's 90 days. So you've got quite a bit of coverage, right? So 90 days, but it is only for emergencies. I have had people go and decide to do something. They wanted a spot removed on their face while they were away, and they actually put it in as an out-of-country coverage. It did not get paid, okay? That's not deemed an emergency. It must be a medical emergency only. And it's cooperators is manned, their phone. So when you call that 1-800 number, that number is a 24/7 manned, okay? So we had an occasion once where it went into a recording, and of course the employee was upset that they couldn't actually get anybody. That's impossible. We tracked it down. It took us 2 months to track it down. What had happened was they were in a resort. They used the resort phone in their room. The resort phone goes to the resort operator. The resort operator, instead of using that number, clicked it through to Cooperator's main office number. And so yes, they got a recording. It was past their 4 o'clock hour quitting time, and they got a recording. That's when you know you've got the wrong one. It's always manned. There is no recording on out of country. So just, have the comfort of knowing there's always somebody there to speak to about that. So if you can't do it, make sure somebody else can do it on your behalf. Just make sure that claim is made, and then you can go home with no issues of worrying about a bill.
Is there a live chat option online as well if you're out of country and you don't want to?
No, you've actually got to make a phone call. Yeah, it's all 1-800 numbers or 186. You're not going to pay for anything. Yeah, so it does have to be by a call though. Spoke to the LTD. I think we're actually pretty good. Are there any questions
I have a question.
before I get into the wellness?
So for, let's say a staff member puts, I don't know, their parent as the beneficiary. Say they're not married, they got divorced, whatever, they put their parent. And let's say, God forbid, their parent passes away.
Yeah.
And now 3 years passes,
Yeah,
and they pass away.
yeah,
No one's paid.
yeah, that's right.
Okay, so maybe it's important to send out a note, just that, like
Yeah.
every year, just reminding them, like if you've had a change in address, beneficiary, whatever. Just because, that would be a shame,
It's
they're dead,
terrible.
so,
Yeah. That's right.
but
And that's why I spoke to that. Any changes, you have to think about your plan right away. Think about that and make sure that you've communicated those changes. And in the event that, say Saskia's not around or whatever, please just come directly to us. That's fine. Let us get the job done. We want to make sure that we're taking care of it. There are millions of dollars that are unclaimed all the time. Yeah. Yeah, so I think they have to hold on to it at least 25 years, and then they put it into another, there's another fund so basically you'll never find the money again, right? You'll never get the money again. There's a lot of unclaimed monies when it comes to insurance. So just make sure we're always updated and there'll be no issues there. Yeah.
And for paramedical claims, you have to get your doctor to sign. Let's say somebody needs massage therapy for a medical reason.
Right.
Does this have to be updated annually, or is there no expiry?
So
Because it doesn't look like there's an expiry.
So this is a great question. This is done for your services. So you have X amount that you're paid up to, right? So let's assume you asked for physiotherapy and your maximum is $500 and you were given approval for $500. By the way, once you submit that into Beneplan, we will send you a letter back right away saying yes or no, how much you're approved for. So don't always make the assumption that just because you have a 500 cap that you will get the 500, okay? If it's warranted that you actually don't need the full 500 for the services, you're not going to get approved for the full 500. That's why we ask all the questions that we ask. We have people who are trained to look at conditions and know exactly what needs to be done for that. Having said that, we can appreciate that it's not always running exactly like that. It is a human body that has ups and downs, and it may have to be readdressed again, and we will readdress it. You have to communicate with us. Like I said, we want to keep you working and healthy. So a letter goes back out, and then it says yes or no, how much you've got. Sorry, what was the other part of it? Oh no, it's done. So now you've used the amount. So
we do it annually.
So the calendar year is January 1st to December 31st. So if today you got an approval, that would be good up to December the 31st. And it'll actually say that right in your letter as well.
So does it cover if you need to bring this to the doctor to get this signed?
Yeah.
The doctor charges you a note fee?
Yeah, I know they're nasty, aren't they? Yeah. We never used to get that. We get that more and more now. By the way, for something as simple as this, because if you look at the physician's part, it's very short, right? And we can appreciate that we don't want much. So it shouldn't be more than, the highest I've really seen is about $25. I see them at $5 and $10. You have an option. You can elect to pay that out of your own pocket, or you can say, I'd like to submit that bill to us. So the $25 you got from your doctor, they have to give you a receipt as well. You can submit that to us, but that will come out off of the amount that you're approved at. So say you were approved for the $500, you're now down to $475. So if you'd like to do that, no problem, but you do have to make a note of it on there, submit the bill to us, and then we'll pay it. Now, your services have to be paid first by yourself, and then so we don't pay directly to your practitioner. So we refund only the member, okay? We don't refund even the dependent because it's the member who owns the plan. So the checks will go to the dependent. If you have any questions, though, please don't go to Shelley or Saskia because they can't really deal with these queries. Come to me, and we'll deal with the paramedical portion and make sure it runs smoothly. All right. Anything else you think of, Vince? I think we're
No,
pretty
I
good
think
here. Yeah,
I have one more question, it's just sort of a detail. You said,
Sure.
to change your information anytime, the status change, whatever, where do we do that?
so you would communicate it to your office first, right? And let Saskia or Shelley know. If it's about, and then firstly, they should know. They should always know what your status is. That's what I was saying, if by chance you're not around, certainly come directly to us. You can come to me. I'll leave you the card, there's an email, phone number, whatnot, whatever you'd like to do. But I did, one other thing about out of country just came to my mind, which is really important as well. Pre-existing conditions. Okay, that's an issue. A lot of people will travel with a pre-existing condition, that's fine. So you've got a pre-existing health condition. You are not permitted, you're permitted to travel, but you may not necessarily be covered if you now have that another emergency on that same condition when you're away. Pre-existing conditions, if they're not considered stable, you're not supposed to be out of province, okay? So your out of country won't cover that. Now, how do you make sure that you're going to be covered? You go to see your doctor. So, for instance, say you're taking heart medication, and if they change the heart medication, especially within the last 3 months, you will not be cleared to fly, or you will not be cleared to go. And if you do elect to go, that's your business. You can still go and do whatever you want, but just know you may not be covered if you have another emergency out there on that condition. If it's another condition, fine. But on that pre-existing condition, you may not be covered. However, if you did have a condition and you're stable, go see the doctor a couple of weeks before. Don't go too far away from your travel date, but go see your doctor about 1 or 2 weeks before your travel date. Say, I want to head to such and such. You know I had this heart condition to this past year. Am I okay to travel? And he says, yeah, of course, you've been stable, whatever. That's all you care about. You don't have to produce a note. You don't have to do anything. It's their obligation to write it in your medical file. So now you went away and you actually had a heart attack, God forbid. And now you have to make this claim. Well, the first thing the insurance company will do is look to see if you had a pre-existing condition. And what will they do? They get the records from your doctor. But your doctor put a notation in this case that said, no, you're clear to travel because you've been stable. And then you're good to go. So now you will be covered with your out of country. If you did not do that, you will be stuck with the bill. Okay, so pre-existing conditions are, vital to know about.
One last thing I just wanted to add on the out of country. You have to be careful where you travel. There are certain places that you were to travel today that you will not be covered, even if you're perfectly healthy. Syria would be an example. As crazy as that sounds. Any of these kind of war zones, insurrections, any of these kind of places, you will not be covered.
Yeah, even martial law, that sort of thing, you may not be covered as well. Yeah.
So just be aware of that. I mean, people going to Florida or what have you, that's not an issue. But any of these hot spots in the world, you gotta call us, or there's usually I think a 1-800 number in there that you can find out. And they actually publish, at the website, places that are not going to be covered.
Well,
and that changes.
Yeah, and you can cover cooperators, call cooperators as well, and they'll tell you where there's the no-flight zones where they recommend. And it's all with the government advisory board, right? So the government posts it. If the government posts it, that means cooperators also is posting it, saying you shouldn't have gone, right? So that's really what you want to be looking out for. And it is true. Now, the other thing you may need, the odd country does require you, like Cuba's one of them, they want a letter saying that you have coverage. You can actually go onto a cooperator's website, like if you had done that setup that I was talking about earlier, by calling them that initial time and going on benefits now, you can actually download your own out-of-country travel letter. So Cuba, the Republic of Cuba wants to know that you're covered. They want to know you have X amount of coverage, etc. And it'll automatically just spit out your name and for that country and say you've got coverage. So that you should find out, and they don't always tell you, but your travel agent is supposed to say when you're going to Cuba, you've got to have that letter, which by the way, they don't always. I'm actually taking off for Cuba, and mine never mentioned it. I just happen to know it. So a good thing to do is to ask, what are my requirements when I'm going over here? Your travel agent is supposed to let you know that. If you're booking it on your own, then just find out. Otherwise, you may not gain entry, so you don't want to be stuck with that as well. And I think we're good now with everything. Any questions? Good, so we covered it all off. So everybody knows what to do. What are you gonna do if it's a paramedical claim? And who are you gonna send it to? Beneplan. Excellent. And if it's anything else that's another claim, who's it going to? Yeah, great. Because you'll get frustrated. If you don't remember that little fact, you'll say, how come nobody's paying me and everybody's ignoring me? What's going on with this plan? It's just simply you're not administrating it properly. But in the beginning, it's a little difficult, it's a little bit different. But the good news is this is going to help you to keep this plan so you always have it for medical reasons at a cost that everybody can afford. That's the good news, okay?
How does it work with optometrists or glasses, because it's not monitored?
No, so that, because that's not part of the paramedical portion.
So it's separate.
Yeah, yeah. So you'll see in the booklet, it'll actually say what part is part of the paramedical portion.
Right.
And that's, you know, the ones like I was saying, the naturopath, acupuncturist, that sort of thing. Yeah,
So how do you submit for the eyeglasses if you need them?
that goes to cooperators.
Okay. So we have a prescription from the
Yep.
optometrist?
Yep.
That needs to be submitted to
So you get it billed.
cooperators?
Yep, you'll get your bill, and you take that bill to, you send it into cooperators. And you can do it either manually, as I said, download the form and do it that way, or if you're gonna sign up to Benefits Now, you can do it that way electronically.
Does Benefits Now then show you what you have left if you go back in?
It shows you what you've spent and what you've done. You have to look into your booklet to know what you've got, so this way you can manage it.
Right.
So you have to become aware of what coverage you have, and then you can see what you've spent.
Okay.
Yeah. Great question. Any other questions? All right, when in doubt, what are you gonna do?
Call you.
Call us, thank you. Email us. And here's my cards as well, so I'll leave that here. I'll leave a couple around.
Register. Does Benefits Now also register you for audit?
Yes. Yeah, so when you do it, it does all of it. Yeah.
Thank you.
You wanna talk about wellness, Eileen?
Yeah.
You wanna talk about wellness?
Oh, yes, thank you. I did touch on it, but I will just mention it a little bit more. So as well, I'm sorry about that. I'm a certified nutritionist, and I also practice what's called orthomolecular medicine. It's another subspecialty I have. And what is that? It's a big word to tell you that if you are, first by law, you have to be medically diagnosed by your doctor. And say, for example, you have diabetes, but you now don't want to start taking drugs for it. You can come to me, and I can teach you what you need to do to perhaps be a non-diabetic. I can't promise that because it's all dependent on what you're doing as well. But I can give you skills and tools and therapeutic dosages of supplementation that will help you regulate your blood sugar. That's just one example. We can do that across the board for a lot of different illnesses. It's all diet focused by lifestyle changes that we have as well. You've got to put the work into it. Yes, you do. I don't do the work. You'll do the work. I'll give you the knowledge and the power. That's free, okay? So if you want to come to me for that purpose, that would be terrific. I love it. Like I said, if the doctor's writing a script, think twice, maybe ask me about it. Sometimes it's even just, I sort of am a bit of the counselor where I'll say, I think you should go here and explore this avenue. I know they want to do that, and that's not a bad test to do if you've explored something else. Testing also, by the way, a lot of people get harmed by certain tests, okay? You have to still think twice about that as well. I almost lost a sister-in-law who went in for surgery. They hit a major artery, and she went into a cardiac arrest. Accidents happen all the time. It was a surgery she really shouldn't even have had done, but she thought it was the easy way out. This easy way out put her on permanent disability. Okay, so I'm very cautious of what goes on out there, and I like to empower people to take care of themselves. Beneplan is actually offering this service free to you as being members here. So to try to take care of your health, to make you go well. Sometimes it's just about even people trying to excel in their sport. I do sports nutrition as well, weight loss, whatnot. I can come in here and do presentations. If that's something you'd like to do, speak to Shelley about it. I can come in here on a lunch and we can do an hour presentation, a PowerPoint presentation, give you really good information that you're not wasting an hour here. This is not like reading Dr. Oz's magazine. I'm really going to give you good information. And then, you know, you can move from that point as well. And I do it on a myriad of different subjects. So that's free to you, you know, make a phone call, email me, whatever you'd like to do, but make contact so that you're gonna be well. Oh, thank you, there was one other thing. So Pose Action, you've got the flyers now, right? Terrific. So there is another little flyer in there called Pose Action. That's another benefit you have as well, free again. So it's for counseling, okay? So a clinical psychologist, whatnot, social worker. And it's 12 hours free for a year. So if you, for any reason, have a need for that, please call that number. You do have some coverage also on your plan, but I would suggest you to go to Pose Action first. Another way not to also burden your plan. And you actually get more hours. As you know, clinical psychologists can be quite pricey, 150 to 250 an hour. Okay, so that goes really quickly. You don't have to worry about that. If you utilize that part that's called Pose Action, you just call the number. They arrange very quickly, within about 2-3 days, for you to see somebody. And you get to choose what neighborhood you want to see them in as well. Okay, so it's very convenient and very helpful. And that's up to 12 hours annually free for you. Now I think we've covered it all off. If not, we'll come back again and do it all over again. All right, thank you, everybody.
Thank you.